Sam Johnson and Chris Marcil got nominated this year for the Emmys for What We Do in the Shadows.
What won't we do in the shadows?
Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows, the FX comedy series about vampires. Guys, I'm at Nola Gold Derby, here to ask you, just what was Emmy nomination morning like? Season 1, What We Do in the Shadows, didn't get any nominations from memory. Season 2 got 8.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, neither of us were expecting it. I don't think anybody on the staff was really expecting it. I know that I had in the back of my head, I knew that the announcements were coming up soon. And last week or whatever, a week before the announcements were made, I did take a look and see like what Variety or Deadline, what the handicappers were saying, and What We Do in the Shadows is not on anybody's list. So I had just kind of like thought, well, it is what it is. It's fine. That's too bad, but it is. But you know, whatever. That's how it goes. And completely forgot. And then got a text from a friend on a different show who said congratulations last Tuesday morning, and yeah, it was shocking. That was just when they had announced, you know, the nomination for Best Comedy, which was really exciting and great. And then, you know, a little bit later, they announced, you know, that we'd been nominated for a writing award, which was really surprising, but also super exciting. I mean, first time, like, we've been in this business a long time, and that's the first time that's ever happened. So,
yeah, Chris.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't work on the show. I'm not a staffer, but Sam and I have written together for, 30 some odd years. So, but it was completely not on my radar. And so, like, I got out of the shower and there were like congratulations texts, and it took me a second to figure out what it would be for. Like, what have I done? So it was a super thrill because it just came way the hell out of left field.
Yeah, Sam, did you check Gold Derby to see where you guys are ranking before the nominations came out?
I looked everywhere and just was like, you know, and early on, Paul Simms, the showrunner, had said something to the effect of, you know, this is not the kind of show that gets nominations. You know, people don't really learn anything. They don't grow. There aren't these, you know, personal stories of, you know, an individual kind of hero, kind of like Rami. So I just sort of took that, you know, at face value, that he's probably right, that this is just a real old, you know, fashion comedy. It's just a lot of great jokes, and not to expect anything beyond just, you know, whatever laughter and
there's not even much of an arc.
Right. Yeah. There's not a big story arc in this. I mean, there is actually, that's not true. There's a big story arc for Guillermo in the season, but still it's kind of, I mean, it did.
But episodes go by where nothing really happens in it.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, Chris, as someone who works a bit less on that show, like someone who's sort of, I don't know if it's fair to say, a bit more of an outsider on the world, like, what do you think did resonate with voters? What do you think is special about What We Do in the Shadows?
It's so funny, and it's, you know, so funny and inventive that I think the timing is right for people. You know, I think it came at the perfect time, you know, just as people were locking down. It's so like a world you kind of want to be in, you know. I think it really is it's just so pleasurable that I think that's the thing that makes it hard to deny, especially now in these unprecedented times.
Yeah. Now, you guys are nominated for writing the episode Collaborations, and it's a fun episode where on one hand, well, let's start with this. You're talking about you're writing about the music. Two of the vampires putting on a concert, going to an open mic night. What was it like writing that part of the episode, Sam?
Well, I mean, that was a real joy, just because Matt Berry is extremely musical and a great songwriter and a great singer too. Like, we've been fans of Matt Berry since Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Like, that was just something we really obsessed over and loved and tried to get our friends interested in. We would send it to them, you know, and like he's just incredible, and that voice is incredible. So we were very excited to have like a musical episode. But he's very musical, and Jermaine obviously is hugely musical, and Paul Simms, the showrunner, is also very musical for that matter. So it just felt like, oh, we have to do some version of some songs. So Chris and I wrote a few lyrics that we put in the script for a few different songs. But Matt wrote some, and they improvised some, and I know Paul wrote some. So like, it was very much kind of a hands on deck, all hands on deck.
Like, I think our job in the script, as far as like the songs went, is just like, put the ball in play, so that they like they'll take it to the next level.
I think early on they'd given Matt like a keyboard just to have at where he was staying in Toronto, because this was shot later, almost at the very end of the season, this episode, and so he just have it around so he can noodle and kind of think about these songs a little bit. We had no idea really what he had in mind or what tunes he had written, if he had done anything at all. So it was really a great joy when we got to set and he had kind of worked out all these songs and these great tunes. Like the episode ends on a song that he and Nadja sing together, and I genuinely like that song. I would love to hear the whole version of it. It's only just a little bit of it, but it's great.
Yeah. How much did Chris, how much did Jermaine help with the musical side of things?
I was not in Toronto, so I don't know in the production.
Sam, how much did
he was not. I'm trying to think actually, because I don't think he didn't direct this episode. He was around, but he played a little bit with Matt, but it was really mostly Matt kind of working out these songs himself. I mean, there are a couple of great moments of just Matt and Jermaine with guitars playing whatever together. And like, it's always great to sort of be backstage with these, great talented musicians and just watch them jamming or whatever.
Did they ever film any of that stuff for like behind the scenes or something like that?
Somebody has it just from their phone, but right. I don't think no real cameras shot it, but yeah. Jermaine may have some of it. I don't know.
That'd be great to see. Chris, what was the biggest challenge in writing this episode?
I don't know. It sort of doesn't feel like a challenge because it's fun to do. When we got our sort of notes and the sort of very loose structure of what the episode would be, it's sort of just building the structure of it, like building like, okay, what happens here? But Sam and I worked for Paul Simms on our first job in sitcoms on news radio. And so we're very used to the way Paul likes to give a lot of discretion to when you're writing, even if you're just writing a scene or a script. And so that was fun to do. And it's nice with a partner because Sam and I have written together for so long. So we are kind of like a room of two. And so you can sort of say, well, do we need a talking head here? How do we lay the scenes out in order, stuff like that. But it doesn't really feel like a challenge. It's just sort of, this is like a fun project.
The other side of the episode that you sort of delve into is the idea of the familiars and that Guillermo's storyline and an old familiar returning and stuff. I think I rewatched them a few of the episodes yesterday, so I hope they haven't blurred in my head. But Sam, what do you think about the arc this season of Guillermo sort of coming to terms with his future or destiny, or and weighing his dreams to be a vampire against his sort of desire to kill them or penchant for killing them?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great. I love that arc. I was very curious at the end, because I was just watching as a fan and not on staff in the first season. So when it came to this big revelation that Guillermo has Van Helsing blood and is a vampire killer, I could not quite wrap my head around, like, what does that mean for him in this story. But the one thing I do love about, like, the relationship between him and Nandor is this kind of almost rom-com situation where they are so close, but there's this thing that kind of separates them. You know, part of it is the status difference, the vampire and the familiar, and then, but now it's also this thing that makes Guillermo actually very powerful as a vampire killer. So it's a great tension to play. So I feel like it really, like, I mean, I really enjoyed the arc of season 2 and getting to that really, like, athletic display that Guillermo makes in the finale. I liked it, but I also like, you know, in our episode that we wrote, which is I think number 8, this kind of evolution of his relationship with Nandor, that, you know, that they have a moment where they, you know, realize that they both do sort of really care about each other and need each other in a way. I mean, Guillermo's always felt that way about Nandor, but Nandor sort of has to admit it himself that he needs Guillermo. So
yeah, I really liked that breakup scene because it did feel like, I always felt to us like it should be one of those scenes where you're like sort of say maybe a little more of your feelings than you may have intended to going in, and they just played that so beautifully.
Yeah. Do you, like, the episode is called Collaborations. How does the series work as a collaboration?
well, I think all of these series, I mean, this is there's a lot of collaboration in this show and in this series. And I mean, you can take that term a lot of different ways. But certainly, like, the big thing, I mean, there are a lot of ways that this show, What We Do in the Shadows, is different from other sitcoms. There's much less writing in the writer's room. But there's a lot more collaborating on stage, like you know, just in terms of like what is aired, what the show ends up being. And just looking at, I mean, Chris and I we had to submit a, you know, version of our script so that the Emmy voters can read it and judge it. But so reading the script and then watching the actual broadcast show, it's like, oh, there are many great jokes that the actors have just sort of found themselves. I mean, the performances are really so, you know, terrific every time, and there's so much improvisation that's encouraged on stage. Like, that's very different from most shows where improvisation is like really, it wastes time. It's not the intention, you know, you're missing what you know, the beauty of our words and everything. But like, the opposite is true on this show, and the performers are so, you know, are just really terrific at improvising, that there's just so much that is new and terrific about these shows.
Is that, Chris, like, is that frustrating or joyful to see the episode play out differently to what you put on the page?
You know, it's funny because I was thinking, because I sort of was expecting, like, I'm going to watch this and a lot of the stuff we wrote that I really like is going to be gone. But, you know, I got caught up in it, and like, I don't miss it, you know. And some of it, I think, also, like, we write long. So, like, we knew, like, oh, well, there's no possible way this is, like, you know, this, like, if this script, a cut of this script would be like 4 minutes long. So, you know, I think working working on sitcoms for any length of time teaches you not to be like precious about, you know, your writing. You know, just being in a writer's room and being around other like super talented people is, I think I like about it is that, like, you feel like part of a team.
We're an Emmy award, like, we're an awards website. We cover the entertainment awards, and the Emmy Awards, one of our favorite. It's my favorite awards of all the awards.
Oh.
And when you submit, so for TV shows have these choices. How many episodes of writing do we submit? And sometimes we think, oh, it's better if a show just submits one episode for the ballot so that all the votes get concentrated on that. You guys your series chose to submit 3, including the one, and all 3 were able to get nominated. My question for you guys is, how did you feel? I believe you know this. Sam and Chris, how did you feel when you found out that Paul Simms was not voting for your episode on his ballot?
Yeah, listen, you know what? We love Paul, and he is, God bless him. Maybe he just overthought it, and his sort of strategizing. Yeah, man. I don't understand how all 3 episodes got nominated. Like, I've tried to, I haven't thought about it too deeply because I don't want, I don't know, I don't want to think about it too deeply. But it does feel very.
It's not going to make us feel better to think.
Yeah, it's crazy that they are all nominated. Whatever your voting strategy is, I'll only vote for one, which will really bump up its chances or whatever. But I mean, yeah, it's crazy. It's incredible. I mean, it probably helped that there were only 3 that were nominated as opposed to 8, which is often the case. But whatever, it's still very surprising and great. And you know what, Paul?
Yeah.
Paul can do what he wants.
Yeah.
No, Paul's a master motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We just have to do better next year.
Yeah, no, it's part of Paul's overall kind of Bill Belichick type of.
Yeah. He said he voted for Stephanie, so then he voted for his. Then he didn't want to spread it up too much.
Yeah, no.
My follow-up question is: did you guys vote for Paul's episode on your ballots?
Yeah, I mean, I get these things. This was like the first time in a few years that I really actually paid attention to these ballots at all, because I knew that the show was on it. And yeah, I voted for Paul. Yeah, I voted for Paul and Stephanie's and ours.
There you go, Chris.
Probably. It's like I'm gonna vote for mine because I I was so pleased. We were so pleased to be writing for this show that it's just I have to vote for mine. And then there were a couple of other I really because some years I don't fill out an Emmy ballot. This year I really wanted to vote for Joe Parra Talks With You, which is a show I really love. And some other some friends of ours had various projects and things like that. They were big categories. I didn't watch enough of the dramas to feel I can't vote for any of these dramas.
Yeah.
It's not fair, since I didn't see a lot of them. That kind of thing.
It's very fair. Guys, thank you so much for talking with us today. All the best of luck for the Emmy Awards, and all the best of luck for season 3, which I believe you're writing as we speak.
Writing it now. Who knows when we'll be able to shoot it, but we're definitely writing it.
From all over the world.
From New
Zealand and Europe and America.
Yeah, it's crazy. We had a conference call. We had a Zoom a couple of weeks ago with the different department heads, and Amanda Neal, who's the brilliant costume designer, she's working in New Zealand and talking about the restrictions there. And DJ Stipson, who's the director of photography, is working in Dubai and talking about it's just impossible. There's so many safeguards now, so many restrictions, that there's just only a few places where people are able to really successfully shoot new shows. So, we're all just waiting to see what pans out and how we can go forward and shoot more, but we're all eager to do it.
Yeah, I mean, no one's in a better position than Jermaine Clement, where he is. Thanks so much, guys, again. And people watching this interview can go to goldderby.com to make your own Emmy Award predictions and watch other interviews with award contenders. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.